Hey YouTube family, this is Professor Frederick Torrey T. Green coming to you with another segment of Color of Truth, where we unveil the real color of all truth. Today I'd like to share an interesting fact with you. I want to talk about something that I found that was particularly interesting as I was pondering on the relationship between Caucasians and African Americans, whether it's male and female or female and male. Now, I would like to say that I endorse endogamous practices, which is marrying within one's own group to prolong the existence of that group. So I see in mainstream society, mainstream media now, a lot of marrying between blacks and whites, whites and Asians, blacks and Asians, and so on and so forth. Um, and I do believe in endogamy. I believe that one should marry within their own group, one's own ethnic group. But I'm not knocking nobody who choose to step out of their own race or their own ethnic group to marry people in other cultures or other groups. It's just that I endorse that one remains within their own culture um, to continue to prolong the life of that culture. So, in speaking about this, it has not been something that is foreign, that even as we look back in antiquity and pre emancipation, especially as it relates to enslaved individuals, that white females, not just white males, have practiced, the slave owners or white males in general have practiced interracial relationships. White females were often the perpetrators of going into the slave markets, checking the genitalias of African men, having this strong sexual desire. And in another segment, we'll get into the sexual liaisons between African men and white women. Of course, white women always wanting to keep their genteel lifestyle, have been the ones that really exacerbated or caused the slave owners to continue to want to enslave, because they want to keep their lifestyle, right? And we always pass down this saying, happy wife, happy life. But we know that the slave owners, the men, would often go out and have liaison with enslaved African women. So I want to share something with you called the nigger in the wood pile. Nigger in the wood pile. And it's something interesting that I learned by reading Dr. Claude Anderson's book. Listen to this. The expression "there's a nigger in the woodpile" grew out of the Reconstruction period and spoke of sexual liaisons across racial lines. Although white men, rich or poor, had merely nearly total control over their sexual lives and those of black people, white women exercised at least nominal control over their homes, lives, and sexual activities. Because now you talk about a time where, even though now women are still a minority group, this was during a time that women were considered property, and they were only could do the four C's: cook, bear children, go to church, and keep the house clean. All right. They understood that white male sexual escapades, whether with a prostitute, a black mistress, or extramarital, were an acceptable, though seldom discussed, part of life. So they knew that their husbands were going out having these liaisons with especially when they would have the mulatto children and try to bring them into the house. They knew that their husbands was going out and having these sexual liaisons with enslaved African women. But once in a while, white women would play tit for tat and turn the tables on white males by sexually consorting with black men. So in other words, they became vindictive. They became very vindictive. I don't know if y'all saw that Public Enemy song I used to love back in the day when I used to rewind a VHS tape. It was called Can't Trust It. And at the end part, You see this black man running through the field because the wife had the baby, and it came out, with that one drop rule, one drop of Negro blood, and it's Negro. And so he's chasing the African across the field and can't trust it. But look that video up. Following the Civil War, non-economic emancipation did not provide black people with the resources to establish stable lives. So emancipation didn't really bring freedom for African and newly freed enslaved Africans because they didn't have no economic resources. They were forced to migrate and forage for food and shelter. It was practice of black men to stop at different white homes and offer to chop wood for a meal. Often after watching black men strip and chop wood, looking at those glistening, strong black bodies, white women would entice or order them into the bedroom for a sexual liaison. A black man had little choice. Obey and risk being caught, refuse and risk being charged with rape. Apparently, most obeyed and moved on. The nigger in the woodpile expression arose from the association made by the white man returning home and finding freshly cut wood. White housewives would tell how a wandering black man chopped the wood for a meal. 9 months later, though, when a dark-skinned or black baby arrived in the family, the white male would associate the chopped wood with the darker baby and proclaim there must have been a nigger in the woodpile. Miscegenation produced darker babies in the white race centuries before the Civil War. Some historians estimate that tens of millions of whites have some blackness in their veins. Thomas Sowell gives some indication of the frequency of white female black male sexual relations in his book, The Economics and Politics of Race. So that may be a good read for some of you all, The Economics and Politics of Race. Sowell stated in the 1840s more than 43% of the white out-of-wedlock babies were fathered by black men, not 2021, in the 1840s. The nigger in the woodpile expression died with the invention of gas stoves and furnaces. So there you have it. So a lot of you all, just as I do, I know you look at the TV and say, wow, these black men with all these white women and wow, these white, it's a lot of more contributing factors to it. But one of them is that white men and black women and white men, after their power and their prestige, have always had liaisons going on. And so now we just see it exacerbated in 2021. Or we just see it because with the modern technology. So drop a comment about this. I know a lot of you are having these discussions and I'm willing to have dialogue with you. Drop a comment. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that whenever I drop a video or drop some knowledge, you'll be the first in the loop. Color of Truth.